Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going deep on something kind of unexpected.
Yeah, definitely not your typical topic, but
Totally.
really interesting, though.
We're diving into how scientists are turning sewage sludge.
You know the stuff?
Yeah, exactly that stuff into green hydrogen.
Which is used for clean energy.
And get this, they're even using it to make nutritious animal feed.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, and the research we're looking at comes from Nanyang Technological University in Singapore, or NTU Singapore.
Right. And their article,
Published on March 15th, 2025.
Scientists Convert Sewage Sludge into Green Hydrogen and Nutritious Protein, lays out the whole process.
It's really fascinating to see how what we usually consider waste can actually be transformed into these valuable resources.
It's a complete game changer, especially when you think about the sheer volume of sewage sludge generated globally.
It's a lot, right?
Oh yeah, the UN Habitat estimates that over 100 million tons of sewage sludge are produced every year.
Every year. And that number's just going to keep going up with all this rapid urbanization and industrial growth.
Makes sense.
And, traditional methods like incineration and landfill just aren't cutting it anymore.
Yeah, they're not exactly sustainable solutions.
Not even close. They pollute, and you don't recover any valuable resources.
Right. This new process, though, seems to tackle both of those issues head-on.
That's the goal.
So let's break it down a bit. This process has three main steps.
Okay.
The first step is they mechanically break down the sewage sludge.
Right.
Why is that so crucial?
Well, think of it like this. Breaking it down increases the surface area of the sludge.
Okay.
And that makes it much more receptive to the chemical and biological treatments in the later steps.
So it's like pre-treating it.
Exactly, preparing it for the main event.
Interesting. And then what happens in the chemical treatment stage?
So in this step, they separate out the harmful heavy metals from the organic materials.
Okay.
Things like proteins and carbohydrates.
Right. And why is that important?
Well, that separation is what ensures that the final products, the hydrogen, the animal, feed all that are safe and pure.
So it's not just about creating these products, it's about making sure they're clean and sustainable.
Absolutely, got to keep it clean.
And then comes the really innovative part, right?
Yeah, this is where it gets cool. They use a solar-powered electrochemical process.
Solar-powered?
Yep. They're basically using these special electrodes and sunlight to convert those separated organic materials into valuable products.
What kind of products?
Well, one of them is acetic acid.
Acetic acid.
Yeah, it's used in all sorts of stuff. Food, pharmaceuticals, you name it. And of course, the big one, green hydrogen gas.
Right, a super clean energy source.
Exactly.
Hold on, did you say acetic acid like vinegar?
Well, not vinegar exactly, but acetic acid is a key component of vinegar.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, they can essentially make vinegar from sewage.
It is pretty wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the power of this technology. That can create this diverse range of products.
So we've got the acetic acid, we've got the green hydrogen, but what about the animal feed?
All right, so that comes in with this kind of bonus step.
Okay.
They introduce these light-activated bacteria into the processed liquid.
Light-activated bacteria, what do?
They convert the remaining nutrients into single-cell proteins.
Single-cell proteins.
Yeah, it's kind of like these bacteria are like tiny protein factories.
Tiny protein factories.
Yeah, they feed on the nutrients in the liquid, and they multiply, creating this protein-rich biomass.
Interesting.
And that biomass can be used as a sustainable and nutritious alternative to traditional animal feed.
Wow, so instead of relying on those traditional feed sources, which can be really tough on the environment they're making, feed from what was essentially waste.
Exactly. It's a perfect example of circularity, where waste is turned into a valuable resource. And you want to know the best part?
What's that?
This process is incredibly efficient.
How efficient are we talking?
They're recovering over 90% of the organic carbon in the sewage sludge.
Wow.
For comparison, traditional methods like anaerobic digestion only recover about half.
That's a huge difference.
It is. And they're converting a big chunk of that recovered carbon into that single-cell protein with absolutely no harmful byproducts.
Really zero harmful byproducts.
Zero. And on top of that, the whole process is really energy efficient.
How so?
Well, their solar-powered process has a 10% energy efficiency, which is about 10% more efficient than conventional hydrogen production.
Using just sunlight.
Just sunlight. And they can generate up to 13 liters of hydrogen per hour.
That's impressive, and I remember reading that this process significantly reduces carbon emissions compared to those traditional methods, too.
Oh, absolutely. They've managed to achieve a 99.5% reduction in carbon emissions.
99.5%.
And a 99.3% reduction in energy use.
And of course, it completely eliminates that heavy metal contamination that's a big concern with traditional sewage treatment.
Exactly. It's like they've tackled all the major issues in one go.
It almost sounds too good to be true. Are there any downsides?
Like any new technology, there are always challenges to overcome. Scaling this up for widespread use won't be a walk in the park.
What are some of the hurdles they might face?
Well, for starters, the cost of the electrochemical breakdown and the heavy metal extraction. It needs to be more competitive with existing methods.
Right.
And then there's the whole issue of integrating this system into the existing wastewater treatment facilities. That could be pretty complex and expensive.
Yeah, I can imagine trying to retrofit those plants is a huge undertaking.
It is. But the good news is the NTU team is aware of these challenges, and they're committed to more research and development.
That's good to hear.
They believe that with some more refinement, this technology can really become a game-changing solution for waste management and resource recovery.
It's really inspiring to see how science is turning what was once a problem into a potential gold mine.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
This deep dive has definitely got me thinking differently about waste and the future of sustainability, but we've only just scratched the surface.
Oh yeah, there's a lot more to explore. Welcome back.
Glad to be back diving deeper into this revolutionary process that's turning sewage sludge into so much more.
It really is remarkable when you stop and think about it. Something we flush away every day
Without a second thought.
could actually hold the key to a more sustainable future.
And in the last part, we really got into the details of the process itself.
All the steps.
Yeah, but now I'm curious about the bigger picture. Like, what are some of the real-world applications beyond clean energy and animal feed?
Right. Well, the potential applications for all of this are actually pretty diverse.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Well, let's start with that acetic acid.
Yeah, you mentioned it's a key ingredient in a wide range of products.
It is used in everything.
But can you give us some concrete examples?
Sure, things. Acetic acid is used in tons of stuff like paints, adhesives, textiles, even plastics.
Really, plastics, too.
Yep, it's kind of like a versatile building block for a lot of everyday items.
So you're saying we could be wearing clothes or using products made with components that came from sewage?
It's not as crazy as it sounds.
Yeah, that's a pretty big shift in thinking.
It's all about moving towards a more circular economy where we're not just discarding waste, but seeing it as a valuable input for different industries.
Right, so it's not waste, it's a resource.
Exactly, a resource.
This all sounds amazing, but how realistic is it to actually scale this up and make it work within our current systems?
Well, it's a great question. There are definitely some challenges ahead if we want to implement this technology on a larger scale.
Like what kinds of challenges?
One of the biggest hurdles is figuring out how to integrate this system into the existing wastewater treatment facilities.
Yeah, just thinking about retrofitting all those plants sounds like a logistical nightmare.
It's a big project for sure, and then there's the question of cost effectiveness.
Right. It has to make financial sense.
Exactly. It needs to be economically viable to really compete with those existing waste management methods.
So cost is a major factor.
It's a big one. But even with those challenges, we can't lose sight of the huge potential benefits.
You're right. We're talking about clean energy, more sustainable food production, and even new sources of materials for all kinds of industries.
Exactly. The positive impacts could be massive.
It's a lot to consider.
It is.
Yeah.
But this technology has the potential to completely change how we deal with waste and how we think about resource recovery.
It's a total paradigm shift.
It is, and it could have huge implications for a more sustainable future.
Okay, I'm on board with exploring this further, but what are the next steps?
Well, continued research and development are essential.
Makes sense. We need to keep refining it.
Absolutely. Optimizing the process for large-scale production and finding ways to bring down the costs are crucial.
So basically making it more practical for widespread use.
That's the goal. And to do that, we need collaboration.
Collaboration between...
Between everyone, researchers, engineers, policymakers, and industry leaders all working together.
Wow, a true team effort.
It has to be to really make this happen, but the potential is huge. And I think with the right support and collaboration, we can unlock a future where waste is no longer a burden, but a valuable resource.
That's a future I can get behind. This deep dive has definitely opened my eyes to the possibilities and how this technology could really change things.
It's pretty exciting stuff.
It is, and there's still more to unpack.
Definitely in part 3, we'll be diving even deeper into the economic and environmental benefits.
Looking at the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. And we'll talk about how this technology could help shape a more sustainable future for generations to come.
And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into this incredible research on sewage sludge.
It's been a fascinating journey, hasn't it? From yucky waste to valuable resources.
It really has. We've gone from the science behind the process to some of its amazing potential applications.
And now we're going to explore those broader implications.
Exactly. I'm really curious about the economic benefits of this technology. Like, what kind of impact could it have?
Well, one of the biggest benefits is that it creates new revenue streams.
New revenue streams instead of just spending money to get rid of the sludge.
Exactly. Cities and municipalities could actually start making money by selling the stuff produced through this process.
The green hydrogen, the acetic acid, the single-cell protein.
All of it. Imagine that.
So it's not just about saving money on waste disposal, it's about creating a whole new industry.
Exactly. A whole new revenue-generating sector. And that means more jobs.
Jobs in...
Clean energy, biotechnology, agriculture, all sorts of areas.
That's a huge boost for local economies, especially as we're all trying to figure out how to transition to a more sustainable model.
Absolutely. It's a win-win. And of course, we can't forget about the environmental benefits.
We've touched on a few already, but let's delve a bit deeper. What are some of the key environmental wins with this technology?
Well, one of the most significant benefits is the drastic reduction in greenhouse gas emissions.
We talked about that 99.5% reduction compared to traditional methods.
Right? It's a game changer in the fight against climate change. And it also eliminates the need for landfilling or incineration.
Which both have their downsides.
For sure, those methods not only contribute to air and water pollution, but they also gobble up valuable land.
So this process is better for the air, better for the land, and it also takes care of that heavy metal contamination issue we talked about.
Absolutely. The heavy metals are all removed during that chemical treatment stage, so the final products are completely safe.
It's amazing how this one process addresses so many environmental concerns, and it's not just about those immediate benefits, right? This technology really changes how we think about sustainability as a whole.
I think so. It shows us that we don't have to see waste as a problem. It can be a valuable resource.
A starting point for something new.
Exactly. And as this technology gets refined and more widely adopted, I think we're going to see a real shift towards that circular economy model.
The one we keep talking about.
Right. We can start to reduce our reliance on finite resources and create a more sustainable future.
One where waste isn't wasted.
Exactly.
This deep dive has been incredible. We've gone from the ick factor of sewage sludge to the inspiring potential of clean energy, sustainable food, and a completely new way of thinking about waste.
It's a reminder that even the most unexpected things can hold incredible possibilities.
And that with a bit of ingenuity and collaboration, we can solve some of our biggest challenges.
Absolutely.
Well, we've reached the end of another deep dive, but I hope this conversation inspires you to learn more and explore these ideas further, because at the end of the day, creating a brighter, more sustainable future is something we all have a stake in. Thanks for joining us.